The name is Michael McGrail. I'm the key master at Bosom Quay, which is part of Chichester Harbour. The quay itself is approximately 4 miles from the entrance to the harbour, and gaining access to the quay by water is on your starboard hand side, about 2/3 of the way up Bosom Channel. The Manor of Bosom and its relationship to the Conservancy. 1974, when I came here to manage the quay, we had very little income. We had 5 moorings that we ran directly, and there was a revenue from the quay, which was pennies and halfpennies, not a great deal of money. Lord Ivor was in the process, or had transferred it over to Burr Hill, so the Guinness family weren't bankrolling or supporting the quay financially. So we needed to look around and see where we could take some monies from the Manor of Bosom to support things like the quay. Now, we had 5 moorings, as I say, and we run now 250. We had to acquire those 250 moorings over a period of years and to run directly. And those monies that we now get from those moorings support the quay and part of the Manor of Bosom, apart from making some small return for the Burr Hill. Now, we spoke earlier on about the piles, which are our breakwater, to save any storm damage hitting the quay. They're in the process, as I said, 2012. We have it in the budgets to change them, and we have a budget figure of some considerable thousands of pounds, £200,000 thereabouts. And those monies wouldn't be available for us to spend if we didn't have a reasonable income from the moorings that we run directly. We spoke on the subject of their age, about 100 years old. Well, I got to that figure of 100 years old because there was a barman, Ted Gilby, who I spoke to some years ago, and he remembered coming down as a boy when they were pile driving them in and collecting the chippings off the top as firewood. Now, Mr. Gilby was 70 plus at that time, and he's been gone 20 years, so I'm putting a figure of 100 years in round, but it could be 90 to 100 years when Ted Gilby, bless his soul, came down to collect the chippings off the top and gave us some history, because there's nothing in writing, unfortunately. People didn't sort of keep a documentation as to when all these works were done. That gives us that gives us a lead from the Conservancy, income from the moorings to support things like expenditure here at the quay. Chichester Harbour as a whole is a conservation area, and it's very difficult to explain to some people what they see, and including the quay is part of that conservation area. You know, that people and their children and grandchildren will come back and see it almost unchanged from one generation to another. There will be slight improvements in some people's eyes. They think it's a blot on the landscape, but in the main, the conservation area is exactly what it is. That the harbour will be retained in its natural state for years to come and generations to come, and that's good.